This is not necessarily something that came from the meetings, but this is something that has happened over the past couple of days that I think is kind of interesting. And that is the fact that Deshaun Watson is down in Florida throwing. Now, we know that Shedeur has spent most of his offseason in Cleveland working out, getting to know Todd Monken a little bit, just not on a football sense, but just on a personal basis. And probably learning the playbook as much as he can, watching film, conditioning. Deshaun has been in Florida throwing since February 10th, or conditioning started on February 10th, throwing started shortly thereafter. Not only is Jerry Jeudy down there with him, but Isaiah Bond and Jamari Thrash are also down there with him. So they're getting a jump on this offseason program that begins on Tuesday for them. We're out there Wednesday for the first time. But I thought that was pretty interesting that some of the top receivers on this football team are working on their timing with Deshaun. Now, that is not to say that hasn't happened with Shedeur. I don't know if those guys have worked out with Shedeur very much or not, but I do know that they are down there and have been down there this week or last week, working out with Deshaun. And I think that's pretty significant because by the time they show up for the offseason program on Tuesday, they're going to have some pretty nice natural chemistry. They're going to be pretty excited. They're going to know what Deshaun is all about, what his arm strength is like, how the ball is coming in, what his agility is like. And I think it's pretty significant that that's happening.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the whole discussion we had the other day about who was in Berea and who wasn't. I just think it's interesting because, for Deshaun, it was probably more beneficial for him to be in Florida. And this is one of the perks, is a lot of these guys go to Florida during the offseason. Like Jerry Jeudy's from there. So, a lot of guys are either from there or they just go down and they live there during the offseason. So it kind of gives a chance for these guys to connect. I do think for Shedeur, and I want to say that I saw a social media post of him throwing with Jerry at some point this offseason. I don't remember exactly when it was, but I think him being here mattered. Like, obviously, he could have gone to Florida. He could have gone someplace else and thrown with those guys or something. But I do think for him, in this particular offseason, being in Cleveland and just staying here and being focused on getting ready for this competition here and being in that building every day, I think that was the best thing for him. Whereas for like Deshaun, it is probably best for him to be in Florida around some of these receivers who might already be down there and kind of getting back on the same page with some of those guys. Now, the whole Dylan Gabriel thing, who knows where he's been? That might be a different discussion. But I think for these two guys, I think they're in the right place. Or I think they've spent their off seasons in the right places.
Yeah, I think so. Because for Deshaun to be able to get outside on the grass and throw to actual receivers, and he's worked out with a lot of other quarterbacks too, but for him to be outside throwing to these guys, he's getting back in that rhythm, and it's going to be muscle memory all over again when he gets out onto the field and starts throwing to these guys. It's going to be like old hat in some respects. And he's also working out with his long time private quarterbacks coach, Quincy Avery, who's been with Deshaun since he was a sophomore in high school. And so he knows Deshaun. He knows the ins and outs of his footwork. He knows his arm angles. He knows his arm strength. He knows everything about his throwing mechanics. And if he sees something, he's going to be able to get it corrected. He'll know if he's favoring something or whatever. So I do think that he is in the right place. And as you mentioned, Shedeur is in the right place, showing the Cleveland Browns that he means business.